Hello, Abraham. In a tape about 2 or 3 years ago, you said two people came forth together with the agreement that one might die early and for the purpose of them learning that there is no such thing as death.
It happens all the time. Some of you come forth intending very fast, brief, explosive, delicious experience. You cannot evaluate or judge the quality of a life by its length.
My question is, who is it that learns? That learns that information.
Well, that is always that experience in the case that we are talking about, and there are many such cases. The benefit is to the physical humans that remain beyond, who now have born within them a stronger than ever desire to understand the relationship between the physical and the non-physical. Because the one who makes the transition knew it and knows it instantly. In other words, in that transition, in that which you call death, there is not such thing. We prefer to call it croaking. It is so disrespectful. Yes. When someone croaks or when someone makes their transition into non-physical, what happens is they reemerge instantly in the pure positive non-physical energy. And the benefit in the example that we were giving is that then often those who are remaining physical, in their desire to maintain relationship with their dearly departed, often that gives birth to a desire that eventually leads them to an understanding that there is no separation between that which is physical and that which is non-physical. And that is always what that intention is about, to soften that line. You see, as we talk to you here, we refer to you as in your physical bodies, and we are expressing that you are non-physical energy expressing. In the beginning, because so many physical beings did not understand that they are extensions of non-physical energy, they think that there may be afterlife. They want to believe that, but very few really have any strong sense of what that is all about. And so we began to speak in terms of the physical you and the non-physical you, wanting to sort of get your attention to begin to look at yourself through different eyes than you were accustomed to seeing yourself. Most physical beings do not fully understand what we mean when we say you are non-physical energy expressing through this body. You are eternal beings. Eternal beings. It's hard to get your thoughts around a word or a feeling like that, isn't it? Think about it. You are eternal beings, which means you are forever and ever. There must be way more before you than there could ever be behind you. We are all eternal beings, you see. But in your physical environment where there is this decided birth and death, what that gives you is a platform or a focal point. What the earth experience is a framework where more perceivers are at the same time perceiving similarly. In other words, you have your physical senses, so you've come to a similar conclusion, which gives you a platform to leap from. And so when someone who is in your midst, even though every one of you know without exception that you're all going to make that transition, still you are not understanding what it is. You do not understand in the eternalness of it that it is not different from walking out of this room and into the next. In the eternalness of it, there is not a lapse in consciousness. In other words, you continue to be that which you are. The death thing is an uncomfortable subject for so many of you. Think almost as soon as you are born, they begin warning you about it. Watch out, that could kill you. Watch out, that could kill you. And when they say it, you can tell they really mean it, and what they mean can't be good. And so right away you start tensing against it. What do you do as a society? When you find some rascal that you deem really, really, really horrible, you give him the death penalty. In other words, you do not give him the reward of death. If physical humans understood death, you would not give it to them. Really, you do everything you could to keep them alive as long as possible. And so what we meant when we say that sometimes you come forth with the intention of having an emphatic experience and an early reemergence into non-physical, it is almost always because there is some former agreement to put this death thing in proper perspective. And very often when somebody old who's lived a long life, who got really ornery, who practiced all kinds of resistance, who's pretty well pinched off well-being, who's sort of limping around and not having a very good experience, when they die, when they croak, you say, well, it was for the best. because it's a better alternative than living. And for the most part, that's the way you approach death. In other words, you do not welcome death as you welcome any new adventure. Instead, you dread it, dread it, dread it, dread it. And that's why so many of you bring yourself into states of enormous decline before you will allow the death experience, because then you're choosing the lesser of what you consider to be two evils, you see. Where sometimes the non-physical energy says, let's go forth and put death into its clear perspective. And so when someone young and bright and in the prime of their life or very early in experience makes their transition, then very often with those that are left behind, there is it is a human perspective of I lost my loved one, or I've been left behind. From that vantage place of being left behind, sometimes a desire is born to understand or to make the connection, and very often that is the catalyst. Often in a gathering even such as this, as you talk to people afterward, they will say to you that the reason I began my deliberate search of understanding my relationship with God or my relationship with Source or my understanding of the non-physical was because someone that I cared very deeply about made their transition, and my thoughts turned there.
Okay. Now what we learn then, as the person leaves, and you said it increases the desire on the part of the person left behind to learn this and to understand it.
To understand connection between two.
Then later, another rebirth incarnation starts off with this new higher level, and that's in a sense how we learn as a environment, a species.
Well, give us a little bit more. What do you mean by this new higher level? From what perspective?
That more people now understand the concept of there is no death. So then when a new person comes in or reincarnates, that is more of a ground of being from which knowledge is more disseminated throughout the world.
Well, here's the thing we want you to realize is that while everything is expanding, and while certainly there is benefit for all from every experience that is lived, the non-physical energy already understands that. In other words, there is not one of you that will be separate from that reemergence into pure positive energy. And so it's not like you have to go through the death experience in order for the spirit to understand it. The spirit understood it. The spirit knows it. It is for the benefit of those who are still remaining physical to understand it, so that they can be in a place of more allowing. In other words, it helps them to let more of it in. It isn't until you begin to no longer dread and push against death, you can't really live. In other words, you have to understand that well-being abounds. And once you understand that well-being abounds, then you will begin to allow the life experience in the fullest sense of the word, you see. We want to be clear that the reemergence back into the non-physical is a delicious, imagine in one fell swoop, leaving behind all doubt and fear and worry and blame and reemerging. And what we want you to understand is that spirit or that energy, that consciousness knew that. In other words, that's who you are as non-physical energies. You don't come forth into the physical to bang around to gain knowledge so that you can die and be a better angel. That is a distortion of what it is all about, you see. When we come back from segment of refreshment, we'll talk further about what this physical life experience really is about. You are complete for now?
Yes.
We are
Thank you.
complete.